Well, hello, everyone. I am so excited to have my very dear friend who is the most levels of smart about advertising in the good year of 2026. His name is Mark Chapman, and he is the founder of the I Do Society. Funny enough, we both live in Mammoth Lakes, California. So who knew that
Neighbor. Yeah.
this tiny little mountain town was a marketing sort of mecca? But today we wanted to have a conversation to really help you understand whether or not advertising is something that's right for your wedding business. And the reason that we wanted to have this conversation is because a lot of folks see different pieces of content on the internet that can make advertising seem like it's a silver bullet. That it's just you're going to turn some ads on and then automatically your inbox is going to be flooded with leads. And that's not really the case.
Not
And
true. Not
not
true.
true.
Yeah.
So, we're just going to have a conversation so that you can be really informed about deciding whether or not advertising is right for your wedding business. And to kick things off, Mark, I'm just curious, in a sort of knee-jerk way, who do you think, speaking in broad strokes, advertising is a really great marketing tactic for, and who do you see it not being really great for?
It's a really great tactic for people who have their systems and processes in place. And I know that's a really big statement, but we can dive into it. But it's not a good tactic if you don't really have some of the other bits and pieces of your business sorted out. And two of them, particular to advertising, that are really important right now at this 2026 are short form videos and your lead follow-up. Because so much paid advertising works really well when you have good short form videos and when you're comfortable with short form videos, that if you're just still pushing pictures out there, those competitors who are doing short form video ads are going to beat you. And the second thing about lead follow up, the second thing is lead follow up, where if you really don't have your lead follow up dialed in, where you've got like maybe an automation that says, hey, we got your message and we're looking forward to connecting with you. And then you have a plan for connecting with those couples in person or like, in as a human after that first automation. You don't want to do paid ads just yet because people are reaching out to multiple different businesses, and those businesses that respond quickly and respond in a human way really well are going to win with paid advertising. Otherwise, you're going to be paying for leads that you're just not ready for yet.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people consider is, am I really set up to handle the
Yep.
potential number of leads that might come in from advertising into my business? And there's a saying, I'm not going to get it verbatim, but I've seen it like advertising is really only going to amplify the problems
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah, it's so true. And one important thing to know about people who come to your business from an ad versus a warm referral or a lead or like a warm lead is that those people come from an ad. They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. They don't care about you. Their friend didn't say good things about you. So you really need to have your communication dialed in order to be kind to them and respond to them multiple times, answer all those big quote unquote dumb questions, the questions you answer all the time. So it's just a different audience. And that's really, I think that's one thing that most wedding businesses totally get wrong is like, oh, I have this great business and I've got referrals coming in. Everyone loves me. And I have a 60% close ratio. Well, you advertise to an audience of people who don't care about you, and it's different.
Yep, can attest to that as someone who does advertising
Yeah.
in a different capacity, but 100% I agree with that statement with my whole being. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned that short form video is really important for advertising these days. And so, I know that digital marketing in general is changing really quickly, but what's like the biggest thing that you've noticed in the last 12 months that used to work that now no longer works when it comes
Mm.
to running ads?
I think I need to flip that a little bit because there's like
Oh
one
yeah.
important answer. It's putting your face on the camera, no matter what
Mm,
type of business you have. In the past, like let's say you were a wedding venue or you were a DJ and you had this great video of like what you created. Like your wedding venue space was full of people and you were a DJ and the dance floor is full. What worked then doesn't work now. Like what works now is putting your face on the camera because people buy from people in an incredibly polarized world where people want to know who you are, what your voice sounds like, who are they going to be interacting with, it's more important than ever to like have at least like one or two face to camera video ads because that moves the needle from know, like, and trust across like so quickly. And without those, people really don't get a sense of what makes you you and what makes you different. And my good friend Adriana once said, if people don't know what makes you different and unique, then the only thing they can compare you to the competition is on price. And so,
Mhm.
like, the fastest way to get that differentiator is putting your face on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The other thing is wedding professionals, venues, and bridal boutiques, you are not an inexpensive line item in the
Correct.
wedding budget.
Correct.
And so if you were to put yourself in your customer's shoes, if you're asking for tens of thousands of dollars potentially as a venue, you want to feel really comfortable about who you're giving that tens of thousands of
Yes.
dollars to. And really humanizing the business is incredibly important and more important in the wedding industry than I think people realize sometimes.
And people have this aversion to like putting their face on camera because we don't do it every day. We're
Mhm.
business owners, like social media is for that person we've hired to do social media. But at the end of the day, your story as the business owner, the why behind what you do and sharing that is like the most powerful thing you can do. Better than a packed dance floor, better than an amazing venue all done up. Like it really matters so much.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I know goes through people's minds when they're thinking about adver or putting money behind their marketing, which in most cases shows up as advertising. I know a lot of folks immediately think of the large marketplaces and listing sites,
Yep.
like The Knot and Wedding Wire and Zola. There's a long list of them, so
Yeah.
make your pick. When folks think of advertising as those marketplaces and lump them into being like a complete advertising solution,
Mm.
what are your thoughts, comments, responses
Yes, so
about
many. How much
how,
time?
yeah, how much time we have? I mean, maybe more specifically, just defining the basics of how advertising in a marketplace like The Knot is different than advertising on TikTok and Instagram and Google.
Yeah, and for context, my area of expertise is Google Ads, Meta Ads, which is Facebook and Instagram, TikTok ads, and we're learning ChatGPT ads because they just came out. And the biggest difference in these platforms is demographic targeting, where
Mm.
you on the larger listing sites, they have their place and they do a lot of good things for a lot of businesses. The difference between that, where everyone can reach out to you and people may not be paying attention because everyone's listing looks the same for the most part, to Google Ads and Meta Ads per se, is like you can target by demographics. You can get really specific of, I want to spend $500 and I want these people, their job title, their income level, all those things to see my ads. Not everyone, because I know that I've been in business for a while. I'm not the right fit for everyone. Come to terms with that. The sooner you come to terms with that, the better off you'll
The
be.
better.
Um, so the specificity of who you choose to see your ads is the biggest difference. And that's what changed my life as a wedding business owner a long time ago when I did my own ads.
Yeah, that is very true. You're not just like being thrown into a giant competitive pond. You actually have some control over who's going to see your advertisement.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's always a skeptic in the room,
Bring it
skeptic
on.
or a cynic or
I'm
whatever.
ready.
And a lot of times with advertising, people end up in this more skeptical space because they've tried advertising
Yep.
before and really feel like, man, that was a waste of money.
Yep.
So
Why didn't it work?
from yeah, why why didn't it work? I
Sorry, I
mean,
didn't
that's
mean to cut
base.
you off.
No, that's. I
Like,
was like, how do I want to ask this question
no,
in
I
like a
love
kind
it.
way? But I know I've already mentioned like my own personal struggles with advertising, and we have, hypotheses around why advertising didn't work for us, or we haven't gotten it to work for us. But A, that doesn't mean that you should just stop trying.
Yeah.
B, there's always lessons to be learned.
Yep.
So, from all the years that you have been like living, breathing, and eating wedding advertising, what would you say to that person who's like, I'm kind of sort of really uncomfortable at the
Yeah.
thought of advertising, even though also kind of sort of really want to do it again.
There is a common thing that happens where people dip their toe in the water and they say, I'm new to advertising. I'm going to start with just Google Ads.
Mhm.
And they create a campaign. Google does its job. People find the business, they click on the ad, they visit the website. That bride, that couple, they're in discovery mode and they go back to Google because they're looking at all the options that are presented to them. And Google did its job. It brought someone to your website. And it could be even a qualified person. But what people really miss is the human experience behind advertising in the wedding industry. Is that this is not like buying a $10 dog leash or a dog collar. It
No.
literally is a decision to spend $10,000 that's so personal and so deep. So you can't expect people to see your ad once, click on it, visit your website, and think, this is the venue for me. Where do I write my check? It doesn't happen like that. And so what we teach all day, every day at the I Do Society is that couples have to see you in multiple places, multiple times. And if they don't, if you're just doing Instagram ads or just doing Google ads and you're not reaching them and where those couples are online multiple times, it's not going to work. And the second thing to that is a lot of people get sold on one platform because they might know someone who's really good at that, or they have a trusted person who's really good at Google Ads, and that person has no idea about Meta ads or whatever. So they're like, "Hey, I'm going to do your Google Ads for you," and that person's a wonderful person, but they didn't really think about that whole couple's experience in that journey to like discovering the venue or the bridal store or the DJ. That it just takes so many touch points. If you're going
Mhm.
to do paid advertising, you have to show up in multiple platforms.
Yeah, and that's also a really good reminder to do the exercise of sitting down and even making your best guesses about what your customer's journey is. Like what is the actual likely series of events
Yeah.
that they go through and actions that they take before they get to the point where they're filling out an inquiry form or, creating an appointment to come in
Yeah.
and see your inventory. So the I Do Society is fab at done for you ad management. But there are some folks that are watching this that are going, I don't have the budget, right? Or I barely have a budget for ads. So I don't
Sure as hell
also
don't have a
have
budget for someone.
for
Yeah,
management on top
that's
of it.
okay.
But the thought of managing my own ads seems so intimidating. So, what do you think sets someone up for success when they're trying to decide whether or not they're going to
Yeah.
make more of an investment to have their advertising managed for them, or they're going to go the route where they are doing it themselves?
You really have to have an investment in sweat equity or like put sweat equity into it and put time into it. And we all have to figure out how to grow our businesses and we all have to figure out like spend time doing the things that we eventually hire someone for. But like advertising is these ad platforms are built for like Target and Starbucks and these big companies. They're not built for small wedding businesses. And so when you get in there and you're creating your ad campaigns and Google says it recommends something to you and you're like, well, Google is recommending it, so I'm going to say yes. It really, if you're going to do your own ads, you've got to take the time to slow down and to ask a question about every single setting and every single option. And that takes some time, and that's okay. It's okay if that's
Mhm.
where you're at, where you have to do it because we all have to grow somehow. But don't pay for ads if you don't have the time to dig in.
That's a really good piece of advice. So we all just have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And I know that you have advertising kits that
Yes.
if someone who has watched this video and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go take a beat and really like do some soul searching to make sure that I have the time to dedicate to this. Tell us about the ad kits and how that supports someone who's made that decision to run their own ads.
It's like if you and I were sitting together at the computer together and creating your ad campaigns. The advertising kits walk you through the strategy that needs to be set up first, like lead follow-up we talked about, or short form videos, prepping all that. And then the advertising kits also walk you through step by step every button to click inside the ad campaign,
Mm,
like how to set the campaign up so that you are creating it based on the strategies that we know for managing $30 million in paid ads that work and you're not guessing and you don't have to like spend all day like on Google trying to figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you said $30 million in ads, I had Alexis Rose in my head going, That's so much money.
Ew. Yeah.
So much money, David."
It is a lot of money. It
Yes,
is a
it is a lot of
lot of
money.
money.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of money. That means that you have so much experience and expertise and like learnings from, doing that people should
Yeah.
know that Mark knows his stuff. I can tell you that from personal experience. So,
Thank
if
you.
folks are interested in learning more about the I Do Society for your done for you services or the advertising kits, where's the best place for them to find that information?
At theidosociety.com. That's all there, all on our website or any of the social platforms at the I Do Society.
Yeah, awesome. And I'll have things linked in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're finding this in the blog post that Carissa wrote for us, that's on the NG blog, then the links are already embedded in there. But thank you so much, Mark, for having this conversation with me and
Thank
helping
you.
people, go through that self-exploration to figure out whether or not ads are right for their wedding business and whether or not running them themselves is the right choice.
Thanks for asking great questions. It was awesome.